Hi, welcome to our third video in our design thinking series. So we're looking today at observations. So observations are very similar to interviews because they're able to build the empathy for the context that you're looking at as well as the people that you're looking at. But however, when we're looking at interviews, we typically will be looking at what people think, what they say, and more of their thought processes. Whereas for observations, we're looking at behaviors, how people interact with the environment that they're in, and how people interact with objects as well. One example that we can look at is instead of asking somebody to give you a recipe and jot down all the notes for maybe cooking a dish, you would actually observe them. You want to observe how they chop particular things, how they fry something, the timing, the processes, what do they do first, what step A, what step B. And by observing them, you can pick up a little bit of the nuances, a little bit of the steps, and really immerse yourself in that particular process of cooking. So this is just one example of how an observation is different from an interview, and the things that you're able to collect for your problem statement that you've chosen is also different as well.
My name is Man. I am a human-centered design researcher by profession. I believe that by applying human-centered design skills in my design process, it is essentially human designing for human. For example, I am currently working on a social innovation project that involves the community members of a neighborhood, and members of this neighborhood, they come from different migrant backgrounds. They come with different expectations, and they come with different demands from the organization as to what they can collect from that particular day in terms of the food items or in terms of the services that are being offered. So the first step to understand, like I just mentioned, to produce or to develop a deep-seated understanding of the migrants themselves is to mingle among themselves and initiate conversations to build an understanding of the why and the what and the how they are involved and how they are engaged in a project.
There are different types of observations that you can conduct. One is a camera hanging observation. So this is similar to having a CCTV or maybe a camera up on the ceiling and observing people and how they move from a remote location. The next one you can look at is shadowing, which is where you follow one person and you observe them while following them, and you can ask them a little bit of questions but not affecting them too much in terms of what they're doing in that particular day or in that particular scenario or session. So the other method that we're looking at also is participant observations, where you engage in a particular activity and you become the participant. So you follow the things that the particular group is doing and you immerse yourself in that particular group. The next one is a site-specific observation. So what a site-specific observation is that you are in a particular context and you're observing what people are doing, who is in that space, as well as what are the interactions that are happening within that space. So there are a few different types of observations that you can do. In terms of the observation elements, let me give you an example. So for example, if we're looking at a place like Little India, you'll want to sort of look and understand a street. And then when you're looking at the people profiles, who's going to be within that space at different times, whether it's going to be locals, foodies, foreign workers, shoppers who are in Mustafa area. These are the different types of people who will be at that space as well. And the other thing that you want to sort of look at is really interactions. Who is interacting with who? How are the foreign workers interacting with each other? How are they interacting with the shopping center? How are tourists interacting with the shopping center? How are tourists interacting with the food shops that are around there? And depending on what you're looking at, we can look at specific elements and specific times as well. So when you're going out to do your observations, one thing to consider is how you're going to document the observation itself. So with interviews, it's a little bit easier. You have interview questions, you might take notes, you might do a audio recording or video recording. To a certain extent, your observations, you're also able to do that. You're still able to take photos of the environments, take photos of specific interactions that you're seeing between people and objects. But typically, what most people do when it comes to observations is that they will have sort of a notebook. And the notebook will highlight the areas that you want to observe. And then what you're going to do there is, instead of thinking about what you should be observing when you're out in the field, it's more of jotting down what you already know it's important for you. So with these observations, they do go hand in hand with the interviews as mentioned before. Your interviews are for you to better understanding what people are saying, what they're thinking, and the observations are really looking at people's behaviors and interactions with objects and environments. So with this video, we've looked at the understanding stage, specifically with observations and how it goes hand in hand with interviews. We've looked at the types of observations that are there. We've also looked at how to conduct these observations and how to record the observations. In the next video, we're moving on to the define stage. And the define stage we're looking at specifically is data analysis.